everyone. This is Brian Schwartz from the Central Coast Writers Conference, which is Saturday, October 5th this year at Cuesta College. This is our 40th annual event, so it's a big milestone. I've been doing these quick previews with our presenters so that you have a better idea of what you're walking into. And if you haven't registered yet, maybe this will help get you over the hump to register. So I've got two of our presenters today. We're going to start with Teresa Rhyne. Teresa, I'll have you quickly introduce yourself and then share what you're going to be talking about at the session.
Great. Hi, everybody. I'm Teresa Rhyne. I have written three, I call them dogwars, so part dog book, part memoir. The one probably most well known was a #1 New York Times bestseller, and it's called The Dog Lived and So Will I. And it is the story of my dog and I both surviving cancer. So it's happy, everybody lives. It's right there in the title. Don't be afraid of the book. I still get asked that question all the time. Like, I can't read books where the dog dies. Dog does not die. And I'll be sharing information about how I came to write Dog Wars, how I got published. It's a rumor out there that it's very difficult to publish a memoir if you're not a famous celebrity. That's true and not true. There are ways to do it. I was not and am not a famous celebrity, but I managed to publish 3 Dog Wars. So be talking about that, talking about why I write, why I wrote memoir. There's a Joan Didion quote that I love that I think kind of sums up what I would be talking about as well, which is, I write to find out what I'm thinking, what I'm looking at, what I see, and what it means. And I think that's what memoir writers do. And I'm interested in talking with folks about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Teresa. And I know the topic is writing to heal, and I suspect you will get into sort of the therapeutic side of writing, right? And maybe how that ultimately led you to do what you did.
Yeah, I think that's what that quote says too, is like we're all kind of trying to figure out life, figuring out ourselves, figuring out what's meaningful to us. And writing memoir is really, really key to that. And I think when people hear writing to heal, and especially because I wrote what is also known as a cancer memoir, that people think we're maybe too literal, but no, I think we all need to heal. If you survive childhood, we all need to heal in some way. And I think that's what writing does a lot for me. That's my therapy. So
excellent. Well, and like for those of you who were at the conference last year, you'll recognize Teresa. So thank you for coming back. Yeah. New this year is Brigit Binns. So Brigit is a very accomplished cookbook author and has a memoir as well. So I'll let her introduce herself. I mean, we're really thrilled to have her, thanks to Teresa, come join us this year. And Brigit, why don't you take it away?
Thanks, Brian, and thank you, Teresa. Hi, I'm Brigit Binns. I live in Paso Robles, and I guess I've written something like 29 cookbooks, but it feels like this memoir, Rotten Kid, A Succulent Story of Survival, feels like it's my first book, because there is absolutely nothing related between writing cookbooks and writing memoir. I got to the point where writing the head notes for the recipes was the most fun I was having. And I suddenly realized that I had this yearning to write something that wasn't a recipe. I also had leftover, I would say pretty decent trauma from a childhood that from the outside seemed very glittering, but I just have to say that all that glitters is not gold. I don't want to bandy these kind of words around too much, but my mother was a narcissistic, selfish person, and my father was a fairly well-known actor who was great at what he did professionally, but wasn't much of a father. He had a tendency to abandon families along the way. And I knew that, but he wrote really chatty letters from wherever he was acting all over the country. So, and, you know, if I get a yearning to have my dad feel like a dad, I can go and watch his movie called Oliver's Story, in which was the sequel to Love Story. And he actually acts like a dad. That's my big chance to see my dad being fatherly, which is a really sad thing to say. But I knew I had this memoir in me. I've known for a long time that it was in there, but it was just a question of getting it out. And I went to Marfa, Texas, for a month in 2009 to try to write about my mother, my grandmother, my childhood. How did I survive this intense displeasure, disapproval, lack of confidence? And but there was this heater in the kitchen of my bungalow in Marfa, and it was making these clanking noises. So I got nothing done because I was convinced that the Texas Chainsaw Massacre was going to happen in my bungalow. And so I got nothing done. I put it all into a plastic Walmart box and shoved it in the closet and didn't take it out until the pandemic. And I knew I was going to be stuck, and this was the time that I could actually have the discipline to get words on paper. I was very, very, very blessed to have some excellent editors on helping me bring it across the finish line. And amazingly enough, one of the editors turned around, put on her publisher's hat, and said, "I'd like to publish your memoir," which just totally blew my mind. And I can't say enough wonderful things about Sibylline Press, my publisher, which is all about women, women behind the lens and in front of the lens. And I would highly recommend them. In terms of healing, I think a lot of the healing that I did happened through therapy. People often ask me, have you come to forgive your mother for how she treated you as a child? And I would say, not necessarily forgive, but come to terms. And there is healing, definitely healing, in the ability to come to terms with things that happened. So I will be talking a lot about that, and I'll also be really eager to take questions because there's so many people that have had similar experiences, and my goal is to affect with my writing, to have some sort of an effect, even if it's just one person, then that means the world to me. So thank you for inviting me to this event.
You bet. Yeah, and I think that a memoir, it's a gift to your family. It's going to outlive you. People aren't always ready for the stories, maybe, but at some point in their life, they will be. And I do think that everyone should write a memoir. It doesn't need to be this long book, but it certainly should be put your ideas down on paper, because one time my dad got interviewed by someone else and I discovered things about him that I had never heard before. I think he just assumed I knew, right? Because we were in the same family, but if they were shared with me, it was before I could remember. And I just think it's really something that everyone should consider to some extent. So hearing from the two of you, and Katya Cengel is also going to be joining you. You guys have all kind of overcome some pretty impressive, adversity in your life to emerge, not just survive, Brigit, but thrive. I mean, you've all done phenomenally well in your lives. And I think just knowing that there's a path, that's my hope, is that the three of you will inspire and motivate our attendees to.
Just, if I could just add,
Sure.
there will no doubt be family members of memoirists who don't consider it a gift, and we'll probably be talking about that too. And I also want to add, having read both Katya's book and Brigit's book, and of course my own, I can say all three of them do have a sense of humor about them. Brigit, you're hilarious in your book in ways that like, okay, that's how we know she's thriving, because she can actually make jokes about some not so nice stuff. So,
well, thank you for saying that, Teresa, but my goal was never to be the victim. I had a tough story to tell, and a lot of people have said, well, how could you tell all that stuff? And my thought is, if you're not going to open your veins, there's no point in doing it. But you don't have to be the victim. And so if you can find the humor retroactively, I think it makes it more palatable for the reader, certainly more palatable for me as a writer, is to laugh at myself. I think it's crucial.
Yeah, what is the expression? You probably know it well in your household, Brigit, with actors. Tragedy plus time equals comedy.
I love that. I love it. Yes. I somehow married another one.
Wow. We're really looking forward to having you guys. And again, if you haven't already registered, head over to centralcoastwritersconference.com. You get to see these two beautiful and wonderful gals, as well as we have 23 additional speakers and 18 total sessions. So it's going to be jam-packed from morning to evening, and we look forward to seeing you there. So thank you, Brigit. Thank you, Teresa. Appreciate both of you being on.
Thank you, Brian. Thanks, Teresa. I'll see you there.
The October 5th.
Yay.